Welcome to Canyon Lake Unfiltered, where we talk about what's really going on around the lake. No fluff, no filters. From local stories and community issues to the people that make Canyon Lake what it is. This is real talk from right here at home.
I'm Jeff, your host, and today we're going to be talking about a very important subject called the troubled teen industry. And I have a guest that is actually a survivor of the troubled teen industry. In the United States, the troubled teen industry is a broad range of youth residential programs aimed at struggling teenagers. The term encompasses various facilities and programs, including youth residential treatment centers, wilderness programs, boot camps, and therapeutic boarding schools. These programs claim to rehabilitate and teach troubled teenagers through various practices. Troubled teen facilities are privately run, and the troubled teen industry constitute a multi-billion-dollar industry. They accept young people who are considered to have struggles with learning disabilities, emotional regulation, mental illness, and substance abuse. Young people may be labeled as troubled teens, delinquents, or other language on their websites and other advertising material. Sometimes these therapies are used as a punishment for contravening family expectations. For example, one person was placed in a troubled teen program because her mother found her choice in boyfriends to be unacceptable. The troubled teen industry has encountered many scandals due to child abuse, institutional corruption, and deaths, and is highly controversial. Many critics of these facilities point to a lack of local, state, and federal laws in the United States and elsewhere to govern them. In addition to their controversial therapeutic practices, many former residents report being forcibly transported to troubled teen facilities by teen escort companies, a practice called gooning. And as I said, today we have a survivor of the troubled teen industry as a guest. His name is Eric Myers. Welcome to the podcast, Eric.
Hi, how you
Very
doing?
good. I'm very happy to have you here. And
Thank you.
why don't we start by you giving us a little bit of your background? Who is Eric Myers?
I was born in Ohio. Actually, my father traveled during that time working with his buddy up in Ohio. But I actually grew up in Texas at 18 months. I grew up in Southeast Texas with my mom, my brother, and my father. More normal life. Everything. Christmases, Thanksgivings, everything. Everything was peachy clean, and You know, by the time I was 6 years old, my father had a transplant, kidney failure. So within a year from his kidney failure, him and my mother decided to get a divorce.
Oh
So
wow.
I think, basically by 6, 7 years old, things just kind of just started spiraling out of, control for me. My mom and we moved to Houston, Texas, with my brother and myself and my mom. Then, following, my dad moved to Houston to just be around and try to come visit on the weekends, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I used to like to play soccer and BMX, run around the streets with neighborhood kids and stuff like that. I think eventually it spiraled out a little bit with, stealing, candy or just things that were just unattainable as a kid, hanging out with, friends and stuff that, slowly started, getting into drinking. And I wasn't much into drinking at all, but it's just stuff that kids look out, turn to cigarette smoking, kind of trying to look cool, be older and stuff. I had an older brother. I had, my younger friends had older brothers. So, you're just always trying to, you know, fit in pretty much, or be cool. At one point, I got caught stealing some roller skates from the skating rink. I was actually speed skating at the time, off and on, you know, but there was this other set of skates at the skating rink, and uh, something drawn me to them enough to where I just felt like I needed to take them.
Wow.
So that's kind of where it kind of spiraled out with stealing. I got caught stealing the skates. Since the skates were over $800, it's grand theft.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I didn't get charged for it, but that's just where the start of the problems happened. And then it led into, I guess, stealing at a grocery store. I decided to steal some Mad Dog 2020, some
Okay.
liquor. However, I didn't actually get out of the grocery store with it. I seen someone notice me grabbing it. I kind of scurried down one of the aisles and tossed it into the aisle, but then they called my parents and, the whole ordeal, the cops come. So I think that's what really sparked the attention for my dad. Just that and a lot of getting in trouble at school.
Mhm.
I guess before that, I missed out. Like, I did get kicked out of fourth grade before I moved into my dad's house. But at that time, I was living with my mom, got kicked out of fourth grade, actually. Then the roller skate incident. And so, since I was acting out, my mom made me go live with my dad. She's like,
Mhm.
"Look, you're acting out." I was 13, or no, I was 11 at that time.
Okay.
10 or 11, because I was like maybe 10, because in 91, when I was 11, my mother passed away in a car wreck.
Oh, wow.
So my dad told me that my intention was to like do good and move back in with my mom. That's the goal. But she passed away. So everything just kind of turmoiled out from there. And that's when I got caught stealing at the grocery store, actually. And
Okay.
then since then, my dad had remarried, so I had a stepmother at the time. So we all had our differences off and on, and then what ended up happening that, she found some marijuana in the washing machine, and
Okay.
then it was just a whole ordeal, And
Yeah.
we live in Texas. I mean, it's back in the 90s. It's not really allowed for kids anyways.
Yeah.
I totally understand where the parents' concern was, but that's that's pretty much the bulk of it, really. Like, nothing major until after that I decided to start running away.
Mhm.
At some point, with me acting out and doing this stuff, it kind of got physical a little bit with me and um, my father and my brother as well. So, um, when things get heightened, I just didn't like to stick around. At that point, I just started running away at 13, 14 years old.
Okay. So, how did you first end up in the program?
Well, that's basically right after that with the running away. They called the police because I was a runaway. And then that's when the police arrested me because they saw me and a buddy, in the neighborhood the next day. Um, and yeah, they pretty much came at us aggressively, 4 or 5 cop cars, and they arrested my buddy. Ran, and they basically arrested me and
Mhm.
hog-tied me and threw me in the car.
Okay. And
Since then, they took me to to the to the jail, and that's where my father and stepmother, you know, did more research and came up with the decision to convince me to go to Samoa.
okay. All right. So, so you were arrested, and then while you were waiting in jail, your parents decided to convince you to go to this program.
Yeah, I was in there, as a child. When you get in there, I wasn't in there long for the first time. And I was in there for the running away, and then I had got out within a week. I wasn't running away, but I snuck out of the house in the middle of the night,
Mm,
and I went to visit a friend, which we used to do in the middle of the night, neighborhoods
yeah.
over. And his father caught us in the garage, and
Yeah.
he basically tied us up and called the police and said that we were breaking and entering.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's when the charges started just like piling up for a juvenile. They charged me with criminal trespassing.
Hmm.
So it was the second time in jail, pretty kind of just pretty back to back. So I guess they came up with this idea. I was in there maybe a week. While that time I was in there, they were researching. And then, yeah, I had a probation officer at the time. And then my father was allowed to come to jail, visit me, and discuss his plan. He said, if they'll allow you to get out of jail and come with me free card, only if you go to this program that we have found.
Oh,
So it
so
was kind of
a little bit of enticing you to go to the program by getting out of jail free.
basically making the deal in jail where I had to, you know, I committed to it. My word is my bond. So I committed to it. And when they released me, he took me to academy, picked up all the clothing, and I spent one night at home. And the next day he drove me to Utah.
Okay. Before you left for Utah, what were you told the program was going to be, or what was it going to be
So
like?
in jail, he could only verbally tell me, but he said it's a and think again, like I'm going through a lot of stuff at the time. It's really hard to kind of like get it all and even ask the right questions when I'm probably not even allowed to ask many questions at that time. But
Hmm.
I didn't know how long the program is supposed to be or a lot of that part of it. I just knew it was kind of like on an island like Hawaii, just out past Hawaii, and you'd be, you know, with troubled kids like yourself. They end up showing you a video. When I got out of jail, they'll show you the Paradise Cove video where they're like swimming, near waterfalls, like allowed to do what they want. It just looks very relaxed with the music they put behind it. It's called Paradise Cove. The word
Hmm.
paradise, there's nothing about the island is paradise. So
I can
it's
imagine.
it's a it's 100% inconceiving or it for my dad to see that and for me to see it and then go there. It's not wave runners and hanging out or anything for sure.
Like night and day.
Yeah.
Uh, do you remember your first day there?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we had to travel from Utah that next day in a van with about 8 kids. They'll put you in flip flops and long socks so you can't run through the airport. You're wearing bright red shorts and a white shirt, and you're in a white van till you get to LAX, and then from
Hmm.
LAX, there's a Samoan there he was actually the seventh or eighth strongest Samoan and strongest man in the world at the time. He's a compete
Wow.
in competitions and stuff, but so he was our escort to get onto the plane, and then once we got to Samoa, it's about a 4.5 hour flight about to Hawaii and then another 4 hour flight to Samoa. And then you land in Samoa and you take a puddle jumper for another 45 minutes. And that's in the middle of the night,
Hmm.
how they arrange it. And then you go to Western Samoa and you land on a dirt road.
Oh, wow.
During that night, it was literally thunderstorming, raining, and dripping water in the plane with only 8 kids in the.
Worst situation imaginable.
I think once as a kid, you're kind of, you know, open to camps and stuff. I did YMCA camps and I've done a lot of just outdoor stuff. And I was like, hey, it's something we're going to tackle. It's not going to be a big deal. But I think once you get on that plane, you kind of realize like maybe it's not all out what it's meant to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what happened when you arrived at Paradise Cove?
Well, when you first get there, you're greeted by an older Samoan guy that actually lives in the city of Apia. Apia has a grocery store type outdoor market. So you meet with him and you go to his house because it's in the middle of the night at that point, and you sleep at his house on the floor.
Okay.
There's like 8 of us. He'll stretch you out throughout the house. You go to sleep. The next morning you wake up and he basically takes you out to eat. lunch, a burger with cheese. He's like, get
Mm,
whatever you want. And then after that, they put you on a van and you go completely across Western Samoa to the other side on the cove. And then you're met with Brian, the guy who runs Samoa at the time. His name was Brian. Let's see, Brian Viafanua. So he's also Samoan, but he was working, I guess, at Cross Creek Manor prior to that, and he accepted this contract for this gig. So you meet with him, and then he'll walk you down to you'll meet with him or this other guy who runs it or something, but he'll come meet with you get you settled in. But after that, you pretty much only see Brian, like, if you're lucky, once a month or every other month.
okay.
Yeah.
So do they have like I don't know, like counselors that live with you, or how
But
does
when I
that work?
went, it was like right before it was even been around a full year. So
Hmm.
there was less than 50 people on my cove and less than 50 people on this other cove. It was like an A and a B.
Okay.
It's just like divided by a wall. So you never ever see this other cove, but they're there. You only see them if you're brought over there for like a party or if you're on an upper level and you go over there. Anyways, what was the question?
Did they have like counselors, camp counselors that
Right.
stayed with you?
So basically, since it's so new, I mean, they didn't have any counselors at all when I started.
Okay.
And I guess, it took a little while. Maybe I was there 3 months and then they had finally got a counselor over there that was helping with the nursing side, counseling and the medication
Right.
for the kids that already were diagnosed or on medication or whatever. So I would say like 3 months in, I'd start seeing her every 2 weeks,
Mm,
maybe once.
okay.
But yeah, she basically could kind of correspond with us a little bit and
Okay.
see if you need something. But it was very difficult if you actually need something or if she's going to actually tell somebody something. You don't really know. After you talk to someone, you really don't know what happens after that.
Right. So going back to when you arrived at the at Paradise Cove, if you don't mind telling me what was going through your mind when you got there?
Well, it's, you're up high and you walk down this long, long hill that goes in a circle to get down into this cove. It's literally carved out, you know, wall to wall almost of a cove. And I mean, you just realize that it's much more than you ever planned to be. You're in another country. Um, once your feet hit the ground, you're like, I'm here, you know. You you
Mhm.
you don't even think I didn't even think to ask, like, will you be able to call your parents?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Some kids are taken in the middle of the night, like you said. They don't even have a choice to go. I just personally, didn't run after that. Like I
Right.
committed to going. But once you're in Brightway, they will keep you locked up there and zip tied if needed until you get to Samoa.
That the facility in
That's the
Utah?
facility in Utah. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's basically a hospital and they have rules and regulations, color systems and stuff like that. And
Okay.
it's like a meeting point for kids and girls that go to like all of those type of places.
Mhm.
All of the Utah funded facilities and all of those places. People will go there. You basically go there to even get your vaccine shots before you can go to Samoa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when you arrived, was there anything that immediately felt off or different than what you expected?
I mean, it looks and resembles like a concentration camp, in my opinion. Like it's just it's it is bare wild, and
Right.
that's what it is. Like um I mean with yeah, within seconds, within a day, you wish you were back in jail. You
So, yeah, so it's like After watching that video and deciding to go, I mean, it was just like a 180 basically. You thought you were going to a resort and you ended up going to a concentration camp in
Pretty
your
much, yeah. I just
okay.
thought it was, even if you are a troubled teen, your parents are sending you there. It's just more of a paid, even hospitals have more, regulations and food and stuff. And yeah, when you go there, there was the lack of, you know, Americans that you can talk to is zero to none.
Right.
There's Brian, which is the only one in between, and then that's that nurse that they sent over. There was an American woman they sent over.
Okay.
Other than that, everyone they hire that runs and cooks and runs the facility, they're Samoan. A lot of them don't speak English, so there's just a big communication gap when you're controlled there to get better. And who's going to tell Brian or the next guy, oh, this guy's doing good? You know what I mean? It ends up being only the American kids that can kind of coerce and talk to people and really run the program. The kids basically run the program there, just like jail.
Yeah.
And the long run, when you're in prison, the prisoners are what's running and facilitating who gets what.
Right.
Brian is just like, he's almost like just God. You don't even see him ever.
Hmm.
He'll come down only when y'all are allowed to go over the merits and if you go up a level. Other than
Okay.
that, yeah.
What was a typical day like there?
So I have the full breakdown of the schedule. I guess one thing about it, just like they have a schedule and it doesn't miss a beat. So just like, jail, if you go to breakfast at 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
you know, this type of thing, you wake up at 6:45. 7 o'clock, you're doing bathroom and grooming, hygiene, brushing your teeth. 7:25, you're making your bed, the hut. You live in a grass hut, basically. It's a grass hut. Not all of it's fully walled, and it leaks at night when it rains.
Yeah.
So, inspection, they'll come inspect your hut, make sure your bed's made just like, in the army. Um, and then breakfast at 8 o'clock, uh, kitchen cleanup. Then you do work project at 8:45. So that's when you begin to work around the island. You're gonna basically pick up branches, trees from you're on a tropical island, so it rains and storms every other day, every day. Whenever it
Right.
does, there's branches, there's folly leaves, just all over the place. So you're basically doing the pickup. Um, After that, at 9:10, you're personally growth reading. So you're doing some kind of reading, which they'll give you something, I guess, to read. Then you'll have class. Basically, you go to school while you're there, year round. So
Hmm.
if during the summer when you're off those 3 months in America, you're going to school there every day.
Is it like online schooling or was it?
Well, it's just like, it's kinda like homeschooling, like Browning Academy and stuff like that,
Oh,
those academy
okay.
schoolings, and
Yeah.
they'll send ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade binders for reading, math, everything,
Ah.
and you're in a hut during the day, all day for school. That's kinda how
Hmm.
they keep you busy. A lot of the time during the day, you do the schooling part, and you can test out. Like if you test out of ninth grade and you read the pamphlets and you do all the work, you take the exams. And when you take the exams, you graduate those courses.
Hmm.
So after the school, fitness and sports, a lot of that is like, I would say the best part of Samoa for me was fitness and sports just because I like sports. We did a lot of like volleyball. They pretty much would, call it also part of your PE class because for schooling, you have to have like a certain amount of like PE.
Right.
So that was kind of part of that. Like either if you're in trouble though, we would play volleyball. But if the whole area was on freeze or everyone's in trouble, then you're literally the entire time doing burpees, sit-ups, crunches till you to like to your, hours of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like a concentration camp at that point. If you're not playing volleyball, you're just doing a very hard physical workout.
Yeah. So that brought you up to what? Dinner time, I guess?
Uh no, that's 9:30. That was 9, 10:30 in the morning. This is how long and how vigorous of a schedule that they have. So after that, it's fitness sports, then class again at 11:30, then lunch at 12:30, um, then personal growth tape. They usually make you watch a lot of those VHS just tapes,
Okay.
kind of monotonous, just videos that they let people watch at hospitals. And if you're in rehab, I don't know. It's personal growth tapes. That's just what they have here. And then you get to, oh no, yeah, it was lunch and then personal growth tapes, water sports. So this also part of PE a lot of times, but water sports is they would let you, snorkel around. But once you go there, all the kids, parents, like it, some kids buy them stuff, some kids don't, right? Some kids have flippers, kids have goggles, some just don't have that stuff.
Right.
But what happens after a few months of any piece of plastic that's in Samoa, it just warps. It
Yeah.
just it falls apart. So yeah, you pretty much, for the first few months, you kind of use some of that plastic American toys, and
Mhm.
then after that, it's trash.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
other than that, you swim around, there's eels, they'll sometimes pull you out of the water if there's tiger sharks or swordfish, there's barracudas, there's definitely stuff out there that can get you.
Mhm.
So, that was the only decently fun part is the swimming, but you gotta also imagine after month 3, I mean, I didn't even wanna get in the water.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can imagine.
it just yeah, it becomes, like, played out. Um, and then water sports, yeah, then class again, at 2:30, and then at 3:30, leisure education. So, class to leisure education, then another class at 4:30, and then you get free time at 5 o'clock. I think that's the
Okay.
first time you get any free time.
Okay.
And then dinner at 5:30, so you get 30 minutes of free time to
Mhm.
probably do sit in a circle Indian style. And then yeah, dinner. We could also go over the food in a minute, but this and then after that, kitchen cleanup, then classic movies from 6:30 to 8:30, and that's probably only if you're, allowed or not in trouble, but when they say that, they're just allowing you to watch some kind of movie. I honestly don't remember actually us allowed to watch any movie though, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to watch, like, anything Americanized or movie. Like, if they called it movie on here, that's just what they're telling our parents. Like, we weren't watching movies. It
Gotcha.
was definitely they might have made us watch something on video and a lot of, brainwashing stuff, but we definitely just didn't hang out and watch movies. The only down here, I'll show you a little further. The only good, you know, then it's hold on, I'm sorry. Then it's bedtime. Uh, okay, so what happens is they change the schedule from Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday a little bit. So, anyways, on different days instead of classic movie, you'll do like classic music. And what we'll do is you'll be like you're also in a family. There's like 6 or 7 families of 8 people, so every family has a little different schedule. So, like, when they're doing breakfast, they're doing cleanup. Then when they're cleaning up, we're eating breakfast.
Okay.
So it kinda does that. There's literally, like, 7 or 8 families of, like, 8 people that kinda go around each other. You kinda see this family doing this, and then we're doing that. It's just like you kinda constantly, like, move around the island, but you're all doing the same schedule. But when
Right.
it comes to classic music, they'd, like, sit you around a table and they would, like, jam out the Beach Boys or something.
Okay.
So But
So
yeah, it's a
you
pretty vigorous schedule, I would say. They keep you really busy from sun up to sundown, and they literally make you go to bed at 8:30,
okay.
and
So
then
you
you start
mentioned
on the
food. Can you give us like a typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner? What you ate?
being a picky kid, I think, growing up, I was much more of a picky kid eating. This was definitely probably one of the harder points of the system is actually what you're allowed to eat. Just like jail, you get 3 square meals. You're not going to get an extra anything. There's not
Right.
that extra amount. And what they do feed you for breakfast usually is slump or like it's a it's a coconut water base mix, the very, very cheap food. It's not that they don't eat it. This is just what Samoans eat. They're
Okay.
very poor. A tala is $1, which would equal seven talas is $1 back then.
Okay.
So
Right.
it's like our dollar 7 times their rate of dollars.
Hmm.
Um, they also grow up in, huts and they're not Americans, especially on Western Samoa.
Right.
They're not Americanized at all. They also give you a lava to wear only.
Hmm.
It's a skirt. It's basically what they wear as well. That's just their nationality. They wear a lava. It's a skirt and usually sandals if you're lucky, and those will usually break within the first couple of weeks or months. So you'll kind of try to fight buying those if you're lucky for $10 here and there, and then after that, you're like you just don't even need them. But
But
yeah, the food is very. It's very breakfast is it's like kinda like our oatmeal, but worse. It's
okay.
just really just it's either cocoa base, like a chocolate base, like, it's
Hmm.
literally rice in a bowl with just, like, liquid
Okay.
cocoa it's almost like chocolate milk poured on rice after you made your rice,
Gotcha.
but
How
it's a
about
little
lunch?
more it doesn't taste any American like that, it's just, like, real cocoa-ish, and if not, it's like a almost like a oatmeal color
Gotcha.
rice base. Then they'd also make a pancake balls eventually. That was, I would say, more of a delicacy. It's the closest thing that tasted good at breakfast for me. It's kinda like our pancakes, but it's almost like a funnel cake. They basically deep fry it. So
Hmm.
it's like a little pancake ball. It's called a Samoan pancake. And yeah, they'll deep fry those. Those were super, super decent. But other than that, it was like very bland. Everything very bland. You don't get a packet of sugar to put in there. You're going to get a cup of water and maybe a cup of juice. But honestly, like it's very bland. Maybe you might have got a glass of milk for breakfast. It's been a little while, but it didn't stick out to me. I don't remember
Okay.
having it. Then I can't remember too many other. Oh, they also did a flat Samoan pancake. So, but you could literally pick up the pancake and do this. It's so rubbery.
Right.
It's not like our soft pancakes, like the pancake balls they made. They make this elasticy, nasty pancakes, and it's
Gotcha.
just horrible. Yeah. I mean,
How
I
about
didn't like it.
lunch? What about lunch?
Lunch, the best thing I had for lunch was tuna sandwich. I like tuna. They'll give you like a little bag of chips like this big with just these little squirrely cute chips. A lot of the food is like other countries' chips and
Yeah.
yeah, it's trying to think what else. Lunch. Not a lot of good food, I gotta admit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about dinner? What was dinner like?
I'll admit, man, the food was the worst. I can't even it was probably like I can't even remember. It was so there was nothing good to remember about the dinner. I can't even remember the dinner, honestly. So
So it sounds like they basically had you on a Samoa diet, basically.
yeah, you get the three little meals and like that's it. You're on level one. There's a level structure there, 1 through 4. And you have to earn merits. And I mean, you're not allowed to talk. Not allowed to basically do anything unless you get permission. So if you talk out of hand, you get in trouble, and we can go through all of that stuff too.
Yeah. What were the rules and the expectations?
Uh, the rules were quite lengthy.
You can just
So
give us
lengthy. I mean,
basic.
I went through them just recently. Nothing that even a child or even someone could probably remember all of them, but they're just, yeah, they made rules for everything. Talking out, talking back. Let's see. Category one, a category one incident, like school or activity issues, talking out, minor rules and violations. If you got a category one, which they call it a class one, you have to do 10 push-ups and 25 sit-ups.
Okay.
And it takes 10 demerits, as well as it fines you $10 tala. So every one time you talk or any of these class ones that they have, you have to do 10 push-ups and 25 sit-ups. So they'll keep track of this all day. And a
Okay.
lot of times they'll have you jump down on the ground and do it right there in front of
Mhm.
everybody. You're going to just do it right now. Eventually, when you're catching a lot of these class acts, class ones, class twos, class one is the main one that people, it's the just talking out or stuff like that. They'll add up. At the end of the day, I'll be doing tons of push-ups, tons of
Mhm.
sit-ups. It'll be towards the end of the day. They'll be like, "Hey, when do you want to do your refractions or whatever?" So class two is like petty theft, major horse playing. Like if you're like, act like you're horse playing or violation of visit. I've never even had a visit, so I don't know what that is. Insubordination, physical intimidation, fighting, major malicious mi- mischief,
Mhm.
facing, defacing, restitution or disruptive removal. Those are 15 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, and 100 demerits. And the fine is 20 tala.
Okay. You talked a little bit about the demerits that you get for talking out and fighting and things like that. How about the merits and how you move up a level? Because you mentioned there's what, level 1 through 4?
There's 1 through 4, and basically all of this paperwork is just a structured system to sell your parents.
Okay.
It's also designed to where it looks like you're doing good enough to gain merit to move up the levels. So if they provide this information and structure so structured to the parents, they're assuming if you're doing well and you're moving up the system that you're making your bed, you're not acting out, you're not, you're
Yeah.
doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
However, I'll be honest again, like I went through some of this paperwork, all the rules and stuff just before our meeting. It has been 30 years, but there wasn't a consistent day to day I would know merits at all. How many I
Right.
make dinner. All I knew is if you had 4 or 5 or 6 class ones. A
Okay.
class one is you talked out, and if you had 3 or 4 or 5 of those, then that means you have to do 50 push-ups, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just adds up. I guess I could say 2. I never got past level 2,
Mhm.
so I never actually moved up the system. But honestly, mainly just not talking out, not talking out, not being insubordinate, not being a kid. So
So and like you said, it would be like the level 4s would be the ones who would tell the what's his name?
Brian.
Brian, that you were ready to move up a level? Is that how it
Well,
works?
basically, yeah. So it all sounds like it's structured with merits and stuff, which obviously, if you're doing well, they'll get you the merits to at least show Brian that you're moving up. But what it is level 1, 2, and 3. Basically, level 4 is the only level once you're on that level that you can discipline another kid.
Okay.
So level 1, 2, and 3, they pretty much have all the same rules. However, level 2, you start getting to buy like snacks.
Okay.
Level 2, you pretty much do everything level 1 does,
Hmm.
nothing different other than you wear a different color skirt,
Okay.
and they give you a little bit more respect.
Okay. Gotcha.
Other than that, you're then allowed after the evening dinner, you're allowed, if your parents have money on your books or whatever, you're allowed to buy cookies or a Fanta or a Coke. You'll
Huh.
get 1 hour to eat the cookies, Fanta, and Coke, then you go to bed. That's the level 2 status.
Okay.
You do everything everyone does all day, but at the end of the day, you get to have a snack and you get to wear a different color skirt. So nothing really major.
Okay.
Level 3, the difference is you get to wear a tank top. No one's allowed to wear a tank top unless you're on level 3 or 4.
So you had
You
no
also
shirts at all?
No, you just wear like a fully,
Oh,
like
regular shirt. Okay.
t-shirt. You have to
Yeah.
wear you can't wear no shirt. You have to wear a
Okay.
t-shirt in the heat of, you know,
Okay.
Samoa. It never gets winter. It's just year round hot and
Yeah.
humid. So then level 3, they actually get more rules. They get to do more things, and they actually get their own hut. So in order to go through that, we'll still need to go through what level 1's conditions and huts are, but you'll get your own hut sometimes with a roommate if you're on level 3.
Okay.
So after that dinner and everything, you actually get to go into a hut, and then they even get to a point where they can have a radio,
Oh, wow.
like a headset, like a Walkman. So if
Right.
they're on level 3 long enough and they have the money or whatever, they can get a few other items on level 3. Level 4, they become staff. They don't have to go that vigorous schedule all day. They don't have to follow that schedule at all anymore. In fact, what they do is they go from family to family to take notes on who's doing what and who's going to move up the system. And that's basically how it is. There During the time I was there was probably, a max of like 4 to 5 level 4s, and sometimes there would only be 2 or 3 or 4. Like if there was 5 level 4s, I would say that would be the max all at one time, uh out of like all of the people there. So it's very
Okay.
difficult to get to level 4.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Unless you're like, really cool with everybody, you gotta do what you want to, and level 4s have to think that you're changed and you're gonna do better, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit about punishment. You have to do push-ups and sit-ups. How else were people treated if they didn't follow the rules? Were there any other types of disciplinary or
Yeah.
punishment that you had to go through?
Yeah, so that's a level 1, that's a class 1. Once you get into the class 2s once you get into the class 2s, like I said, it's just more push-ups and more sit-ups, but once you get a class 3, which is a refusal or a theft, it says push-ups, sit-ups, and then it has a 24-hour one-on-one status. So what
Okay.
that means is, when you get a class 3, if you were caught with alcohol, drugs, tobacco, you ran away, you vandalized, you for 24 hours, they call it level 1, they call it a 24-hour one-on-one status. So what they do is they have boxes or
Hmm.
huts. They have like what they put me in. It's just a grass hut without walls, and then it has just coral on the ground. And what 24 hours means is you have to stand on the coral 24 hours, but every like so often they allow you to sit for 15 minutes. So
Wow.
it's basically a punishment. And at first, they actually zip tie you for probably, 6 to 8 hours for the first initial punishment. So, and if people are acting out at that point, they do beat them up, zip tie them. I did catch a class 3 twice. So yeah, I was basically hog-tied, zip-tied, left on the coral, and you only eat 3 bowls of rice and 3 cups of water that day.
Mm, okay. So is there any class 4
Class 4 is 72 hours one-on-one. That's 3 days in
of
that hut.
standing?
Well, they force you to stand, but if at that point if you don't abide by the rules, they can keep you in that into that status longer than a day or 2 or 3 or 4.
Man, I can't imagine standing for 72 hours with only 15-minute breaks.
Uh, the 72-hour ones, like people that are in that much trouble, they're actually put in a box. It's a wooden box and it's got holes cut out. There you can look at the 48 hours one where they'll show the whole breakdown, and they had rooms where they'll put, it's like that's less than a 4x4 probably, and you're in a box and they just leave you in there. You can just sit in there. But yeah, that's one of them. Basically, there's 2 coves at Paradise Cove.
Uh-huh.
There's 2 coves, like I was saying, like 50 and 50 people. The one side that I wasn't on, they had actually the boxes that they would put people in.
Wow.
On my side, they had the hut and they would make you stand and sit.
Mhm.
So it was a little different on their side. I did go over to that other side to see the conditions. Um, but yeah, if you want to go over, once you get their conditions, it's you're they at night they basically put a chain around the door, like a chain.
Hmm.
So, and you're like, person to person in this hut. So, throughout the night, if you ever have to use the restroom, which a lot of people do, who doesn't have to use the restroom? So anytime you have to get up past 8:30, once they put you in that room, you have to get a Samoan that speaks no English throughout the night, which they hire even lesser paid Samoans that are less trained that just walk around with machetes at night. And they basically walk you to the restroom at night. You're basically escorted, and there's no running or flushing toilets. So
Right.
it's like an outhouse, and you don't even flush nothing. You
Hmm.
just use the restroom, and you put the toilet paper actually next to the toilet in a basket.
Hmm.
So then
Okay.
you can imagine next to the toilet, there's just a pile of used toilet paper.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the conditions. Yeah, and then the showers were just cold water, and you had to wash all your clothes by hand when you were allowed. So yeah,
So, what's something people on the outside world would have a hard time believing about Paradise Cove?
I don't think a lot of people on the outside world really think about it that much.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, you know, Same with jail. Like when you're out here, and 1 year goes by, it's a lot slower when you're
Right.
locked up or
Yeah.
incarcerated. what people
Right.
don't what they don't realize is what mentality that you have on another island where it's sunny here, it's nighttime there.
Right.
When I write a letter, when you go to jail, what you have as an American is you have your rights. When you go to Samoa, you basically have been stripped of 100% of your rights.
You don't have that's
You're
right.
not allowed a phone call when you get there until you're on level 3.
Wow.
Most people don't get to level 3. It's
Wow.
not designed. It's a year plus program, and it's designed for you to stay there every bit of it, so they can absorb the finances, because it's just a money grab for them.
Right. Okay. Let's get into like emotional and psychological impact if you don't mind.
Okay.
How did that experience at Paradise Cove affect you mentally or emotionally?
Mhm. Well, it's you know, I would say it was really tough, man. Having your mom pass away at 11, and then by the time you're 14, you're stuck on some island that your dad helped convince you to go to, it just hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And once you're there, that's when it really all hits you. It's like all in your head too, because you can't talk out. You can't talk to people, and you do sit in families and we converse a lot and talk and you go through seminars and stuff, but it's just tough, man. You don't get a phone call. I was there for a little over 9 months. I didn't get a phone call. And on top of that, I mean, we didn't go over yet, but there wasn't negative levels when I was there. But after a long time of me being there, me and maybe two other people were put on negative levels, which it's not even in the correspondence. So
Wow.
negative levels, I actually did negative levels until my parents pulled me from the program. I left the program on -1.
Right. And
So
what
they
what
had me moving rocks and branches and cutting down banana trees. Like that whole schedule of going to school and that other stuff, all I did was work for like the last 3 months of my stay. All I did was manual work and clean up the bathrooms and trash. So,
why did your dad pull you out of the program?
well, I wrote I wrote a lot of letters
Ah, okay.
for 9 months, psychologically talking my way out of there. They either were withholding my mail for a long time. And mail takes 2 months sometimes for me to even get a correspondence back. But I wrote letters, I just wrote letters and letters, and you're not even allowed to tell them like, hey, I'm on negative whatever. Like they read your mail and you just kind of like fluff them up. I love you, death, you know?
Yeah.
And, basically, I don't know, like, I couldn't work the program anymore. It's like, I knew that these kids were all intertwined, and to be honest, even the level 4s, like, once they're in on that tower, they were smoking, doing drugs, like, it was all corrupt, man. It's
Yeah.
tough, so, it was a tough program to really for anyone to beat, and then I just think manipulating on letters and then just not working the program. My dad said, like, dude, what's going on with my son? He's not, what level is he on? And he wasn't getting probably the right information he wanted. So he's like, I'm going to pull him out of the program.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Do you feel like there's anyone there that you could trust at Paradise Cove?
absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Not even your people that you were there with?
Man, you're just another number. My best friend, which what I call my best friend was the friend I met in Utah. And we were there weirdly, day for day, we went together and left on the same plane together, which is
Oh, wow.
not always the same. But he was a good friend. But eventually, like we were both on level 2, living in a hut, and then what they did, they put me back to level 1, and they raised him to level 3.
Probably just to separate you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, once your father got you out of there, what was it like adjusting back to normal life?
Uh, I mean, it's weird. I'm sure a lot of people that go to jail for a year or two, similar scenarios. When you come out, things are different. I mean, in jail, you get to kind of see a lot of that stuff nowadays, probably. But when you're over there, you just don't see anything like. So when you go from Apple phone to whatever, I mean,
Mhm.
like just the type of movies to my dad had already moved to another town. So, like, when you get out, you're like, it's like shock. It's just everything's like, I mean, it was only a little over 9 months, but at 14, 15, it just a lot of little things advance, you
Oh
know.
man, I can imagine.
You're going to school, little things are different. You're in a different town. You're kind of like pulled out of the town that you used to live in, and then you're shoved in this island, and then they come out and they're like, put you in this other town.
Hmm.
It's just, it's kind of awkward. And then I went to mostly just private schools and boarding schools after that.
Hmm. Did those experiences that you had at Paradise Cove, did they follow you after you left?
The post traumatic stress and stuff,
Yes.
definitely. Being only 14, 15, um, I knew from being there that you're allowed to go there until you're 18. So
Okay.
they all know, and I know that I have to act right when I get out, right?
Yeah.
Or they can basically, instead of me going on my own, they can call that company and have the van show up while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
So you already know this where you just left, this you never ever want to go back. If you just go to sleep, you could get kidnapped and taken there. And that's the worst part because, my dad and stepmom were still together and you just never know, you know,
Yeah.
getting in trouble. It's just, I mean, if you went there, you're not going to you're not gonna forget it, you know what I
Right.
mean? You'll never forget it, and, day to day, you just don't even wanna go back. It's you just until you're like, yeah, it overly stresses you for sure. I guess there's words that just can't describe it, honestly. It's very traumatic with family, I guess, your parents sending you there, so it's tough.
When did you
Something
start
you
to
don't forget.
Yeah. When did you start to process what happened to you?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I kind of jumped into school and started doing sports again. So I don't know. It was it's just always there with you.
Yeah.
It's something that it's just gonna it's just gonna always be there. So
Uh,
yeah.
how did it shape the man that you are now?
I mean, I will admit, I mean, it's a wake up call. So
Okay.
I will admit, being taken away from America, it's just you don't get the the fast food or the easy burger, or you
Right.
don't get the American stuff that people get is probably the hardest thing to describe when you're there.
Hmm.
You just there's nothing about America over there. So you don't get anything Americanized basically. It's just
Right.
different. And when you're taken out of your culture, the culture shock alone it's just different, you
Yeah.
know. People say Samoa, this is Western Samoa. It's not Hawaii.
Yeah.
You're not going it's just different, man. Yeah. I think the culture shock and the communication gap and not being able to make any phone calls is the worst part. And any parent to send their kid somewhere under the age of 18, if they haven't been there themselves, then they probably shouldn't send them. If it's too far for you to travel to check on your own kid, with as much scammers are today, I mean, why would you trust anybody?
Right.
So yeah.
So looking back now, how do you define what happened to you?
Define
You mentioned
oh,
you mentioned it was a wake up call.
uh, it's yeah. What more do you want to know about? I mean, it's a such a shock.
Yeah.
Traveling to Western Samoa and being stuck in a grass hut. It's just, yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
concentration camp. Yeah, it's just
I
there's no part of it that's fun. So I know people that have had to stay there multiple years, and they
Jeez.
get stuck over there. So um
Do you feel like there's been any accountability for these programs?
I mean, after I got out, I mean, it was on 2020 and 48 hours. Like the program was eventually, I guess, pulled. I saw on Netflix did a documentary recently called Hell Camp. They'll eventually, towards three quarters in, they'll go over the Samoa bit. I think it was around till the early 2000s though, uh, but yeah, yeah, it's mind blowing. Honestly, it's just I can't believe I actually went there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, it's an amazing thing that you went through. What would you say to someone who thinks those programs actually help kids?
You know what they think is like tough love and all that stuff, but a lot of these parents just don't have time for their kids, you know. They go to work 60 hours a week, you
Yeah.
know. They have their own problems with their wives. Their um I would say, I mean, it's definitely not worth sending any of your kid to any tough love program. It's just not worth it. You know, you need to start at home. And a lot of these parents are probably, we've tried it, we've tried it, we've tried it, you know, but it's unfortunate. But I mean, it's only getting worse with kids and going to schools, shooting up kids, schools
Yeah.
and stuff. You really just need to start it at home. You know, find out what your kid really likes in life, you know, sports, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of times the parents just aren't involved enough, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of times
Mhm.
the kids aren't gonna wanna be involved with the parent, you know, it's not necessarily something that a kid would wanna do. A lot of times, "I wanna go play with my friend," you
Right.
know, but that's where the parents need to be accountable, you know? They need to be accountable for their children, what they do day to day, who they hang out with, people, places, and things, and trying to be, you know, more family associated with your children and family, you know, if it's church or dinners or movies, you just got to course, you got to talk
There-
to your kids, you know.
Yeah. Got to be a
So
part of the family. So,
yeah.
what would you say to someone who went through something similar?
Um. Well, speaking out for myself and for them, I mean, I know what y'all went through. It was
Mhm.
rough. It's really hard to put into words for somebody to actually grasp what it feels like when you're over there. And
Right.
I can feel for every one of them.
Yeah. What should parents understand before sending their kids to programs like this?
I think they're thinking outside the box at the time, and I mean, this is in the '90s. If you look at the Netflix documentary, they were having a lot of these programs, you know, after hospitals and institutionalized type places. They were having camping facilities, tons of this stuff, but I just don't agree with it, you know? I don't agree
Mhm.
with that tough love, "I'm gonna send my kid where he's gonna have to go camp and survive his life at that age," you know?
Yeah.
I think there should be more at home love, you know, at home
Mhm.
interaction, involving your kids in whatever they like to do. If it's video games and you're gonna get mad at him and throw it in the trash, I mean, don't expect them to listen to you. You know, I mean, not saying they shouldn't be on the video games all day, but yeah, parenting, you just got to be able to understand the age gap. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what
Yeah.
your kid could be going through at school, right?
Mhm.
And just in life, man. Yeah, parents just need to, before your parents throw away the key and just spend money on a facility. I mean, I know my dad was just trying to keep me out of jail, you know. I don't think he thought the program was nearly as strict as it was, or he wouldn't have sent me probably. But
What's
I think
your
it is a little misleading, but regardless of how misleading, I just how far you are and with the rules they give you and your parents that they can't call you until level 3 is just like, what parent does that? They're like,
Mhm.
okay, so I'm not going to talk to my kid for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
and they go to sleep 6 to 8 months basically not knowing what's going on. It could have been a lot worse even, and I know
Yeah.
it was a lot worse for some people than me. Like, I would say my stay right under a year was, like, the bare minimum. Yeah.
So is your father still with us?
No, he passed last year.
Oh, okay. Sorry to hear that. If you don't mind me asking, how was your relationship with your father? Like after you returned and as you grew up into an adult?
I always had a pretty good relationship with my dad. We didn't necessarily talk as much after that, so it did take some years till I guess I could forgive him.
Okay.
I know I still, love my dad, and I don't think he intended it to be like that, but I know he can't change it. It's just it took some time, definitely some forgiving. He went through a second kidney failure, and my brother gave him a kidney 17 years before he passed away. So a lot of just health and family, we just kind of eventually I dealt with it, and we always got along.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm not so sure that that's the case with everyone that would go through a program like this. So that's
Yeah, I
pretty.
mean, it was troublesome. Like I said, I mean, I don't try to hate somebody, like, but I mean, it was tough to get over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something you won't ever get over. It's just honestly something you have to live with, with your dad sending you there or your
Yeah.
parents sending you there.
What does moving forward look like for you? Moving past
One
this
day, one day at a time.
one day at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, life's always got its trials and tribulations, But the best thing I have had for me, was my dad and my grandfather. So they were good role models, So I have had good role models to look up to. Eventually, you just try not to think about it. It's just it's a past tense at this point. I have a wife and a dog, and we just enjoy our life and live one day at a time.
That's good. So, do you think people? I don't know if you talk to people about this, but do you think people really understand how serious this issue is with the troubled teen industry and the effect that it has on kids and adults as they grow up?
I- I'm just still shocked that it exists and had
Yeah.
exists, and that the company will shut down and start a whole nother one. If you look at some of the documentaries, there will be a room with like 7 different clocks
Mhm.
for each time zone of each facility that's being ran.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
think,
read.
like, I guess it's so devastating, like, once you're out of that place, I mean, you just try to not even think about it, but it's crazy. Years and years and years went on, and supposedly, maybe even now, they still have these things, like,
Yeah.
it's nuts, like,
Um, have you ever had people try to minimize or dismiss the part of your story of
I
going through
don't think
this?
anyone's asked.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Well,
think
that
it's
makes
all
sense.
shoved under the rug. I think even your parents probably feel a little guilty when it's all done.
Yeah. So they probably don't talk about it. All right. Last question. If you could sit across the room from the people who ran that program today, what would you say to them?
Oh, uh, honestly, I don't know. I'm speechless on that question. Brian,
Or could you even sit
specific.
across the room from them?
ah, Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, yeah, I have no idea how to answer that question. Yeah. Because you don't really meet any of those people that run the facility. So, I mean, what I would tell them is they're messing with God. You're
Right.
playing with children's lives, and you're doing it for a paycheck.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's theft. I think every piece of money that is involved with those companies is corrupt and it's theft.
You know, I saw a couple of the documentaries about this, and they were talking about parents paying like 30 to $50,000 for their children to be part of this program. That's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. Um, and the reason why it's only in those, you know, it's only that amount is because they put it on an island to where the finances for them are below cost.
Right. Yeah.
It's so cheap of an overhead and for the food that it's just a big money grab for them.
Yeah.
I know
Somebody's
we didn't
making a lot of money.
Yeah, I know we didn't go over it because it wasn't in the questions, but part of the financial struggle and just part of me struggling after the fact of going there was when my mother passed away at 11 in a car wreck. She worked for Compact Computers, so she had life insurance, and me and my brother were left a chunk of money for her life insurance.
Hmm.
So the unfortunate part that I didn't even ask or question until a month in my head was who's actually cuffing the bill?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have proof and checks that all of Samoa $1,000 came from my mother's inheritance.
Wow.
So all of the money to support Samoa was in fact paid for by me.
Yeah. You paid for yourself to be there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the
That's
extra gut punch for me getting out and having 50,000 less dollars.
yeah. I can
And
imagine.
I was still a minor, so I couldn't use the money till after then, and it was all spent by the time I was an adult.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's something. Well, listen, I mean, I think this has been an amazing conversation. My mind is blown of what you went through. And I am just so happy. I don't know you, but I'm just so happy that you have survived it and have turned out as you have. I mean, you're not in jail. You have a life, you have a wife, you have a dog, you have a family and a home. That's just amazing for some of the things that you've been through. It's wild. But do you have any parting remarks that you'd like to make, or any other information you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Not really. I just, that's about it in a nutshell. It's been 30 years. It's something you're never gonna forget, but definitely a touchy subject right there. So, for all the kids that are still going through this or for any parent that can cuff the bill or take it out of your kids' inheritance, like,
Yeah,
get a break, you know?
yeah, that's crazy.
Wake up, spend some time with them. So, yeah,
Yeah,
money's not gonna fix everything, so that's what
no,
parents do, even, they're throwing money at it. They're like, "Hey, Imma send my kid here, Imma spend 50,000 a year," and that doesn't fix it. It doesn't
yeah,
fix it.
that's
So,
true. Well, listen, Eric, again, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you spending the time uh, to sit with me on the podcast. We've been talking for, it's been like an hour and a half. And it's just amazing information that you provided, and an amazing experience that you survived. And
yeah, it was surprising that you had something online that my wife saw and, here
yeah,
we are.
yeah. Well, I hope to have more survivors come on. Maybe from different organizations, just to maybe get a different feel for how the other organizations were compared to what you experienced at Paradise Cove. So
Yeah.
again, thank you so much. Who knows? Maybe we'll have another one. Maybe we'll have like a. I thought about having like a panel of a couple other survivors, and you have a panel come online and do a podcast with all of you.
Yeah.
But we'll just see what happens. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I'll keep in touch with you, and I appreciate you again. Um, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for reaching out. I'm glad to do this. Uh, anything to bring anything to light for any parents and or people that have been there that want to, reach out to help, you know, other people not have to go through this. Good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk to you again.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye. Bye.